I played Gone Home. Gone Home is a game that I have heard about for forever. I remember when it came out. I'm actually really glad that I got to play it now, because I think that if I played it when it came out, the context of its release might have colored my perception of it. Gone Home released at a time when we were still in like brown and gray military shooter winter, which lasted like 7 years. One showers. And the fact that it was a game that was getting some recognition, that was kind of popular a little bit, like people would have heard about, there were write-ups about it in gaming journalist sites, and that it was just what people would end up calling a walking simulator. That was a very heavy narrative atmospheric experience, was extremely novel at the time. And I think that certain aspects of it sort of overshadowed much discussion of the quality of the game itself. And I am glad now that I get to go back to it with a little bit more of like, we're kind of detached from that point. Because I don't remember that many people actually talking about whether or not the game is even that good, just that they liked it. And I'm like, okay, did they like it because it was very novel and they had never played a game like that before? Or because it's genuinely that good? So, having played Gone Home, it is a game that pulls me in two directions, and I end up in the middle. I end up going nowhere. I'm kind of meh on it, to be honest. Which is surprising, because I feel like it's a game that it tends to be sort of polarizing. People either really like it and they really respond to it, or they hate it and think it's stupid. And this isn't my hardcore game. Oh my god, fucking, let's dredge up hardcore versus casual gaming. Jesus Christ. I feel kind of in the middle meh about Gone Home. It's sort of interesting. It's kind of interesting. It's got cool things going on. There's actually a lot of good things going on in Gone Home. Gone Home is a game from 2000, I'm going to call it 12. I'm going to say 12. 13. Oh, take me to jail. Take me to jail. This is a Larian Studios game? Huh? What the fuck? Did they just like give... Why does it say Larian? Did they publish it? I literally cannot find any... Okay, I don't know why Google says this was co-developed by Larian. But yeah, it's mainly by Fulbright, who later went on to do... They previously worked on Minerva's Den, the DLC for BioShock 2, which I actually just ended up with... the BioShock games were on sale, so I got them. I might actually stream them. I don't know. And Gone Home is... How do I talk about Gone Home? When I say that it's pulling me in two directions, the basic premise of Gone Home is that you play as a woman named Katie, a young... I think she's like maybe college-aged. And she has just arrived. She's just gotten back from a trip through Europe. I kind of inferred that she graduated high school or maybe college or something like that, and she's gone on like a gap year, and she's taken like a couple months to go on this trip to Europe, during which time, as you learn, her family has moved home. They have moved to a new house that's this big mansion that was passed down to them from her uncle, I believe. And when she shows up, this takes place in the 90s, so no cell phones. When she shows up, the house is just abandoned. And what's creepy is that it has seemingly been recently abandoned. The TV is still on. There'll still be a radio playing. Things aren't quite put away. A lot of things look out of, like, sort of disheveled. There's food still out. it feels like someone should still be living here, and like they literally just left if they are gone. It's completely abandoned with no sign of what's happened. But you get a message. You find a note from your younger sister Samantha, aka Sam, basically telling you not to tell mom and dad about what's in the attic. There's some kind of a secret in the attic. The attic is, of course, locked. And you've got to go explore the house, look at notes, find a couple combinations, and uncover essentially what's been going on in the background with your family. And why is everyone gone? Why is everyone gone home? So there's sort of two things going on in Gone Home. And they attempt to integrate them, but they really end up with my experience, they ended up kind of separate. One of those is the horror experience of the game. Gone Home, I would say, is a horror in all but name. Navigating the house is really creepy. There's these long hallways that you can just stare down, and you almost feel like you're going to see something at the end of them. It's raining, it's thundering. There's something about the fact that it feels like something's gone wrong. So there's something that's not right with the home. The way that things are so disheveled and out of sorts. The fact that you can find just little like clues to people who are unhappy. There's a reference to like the uncle was infamous as for being some kind of crazy person. He's like crazy Isaac or whatever. And it's a genuinely quite atmospheric, engrossing horror experience. It's very creepy. And I really like that the framing device of the game, which is that you are a stranger in your own home. That's a really cool idea. They moved house while she was gone in Europe. So this is ostensibly her home. It's got a lot of her family's belongings, a lot of things that seem familiar that are there, but she's never lived here. She doesn't know the layout. She doesn't know what's where, or, she's not used to being there. And you, similarly as the player, are kind of exploring it for the first time with Katie, who is kind of a blank slate for most of the game. For the entire game, basically, which you could maybe see as a shortcoming. The other half of the game is basically the backstory as to what has been going on with the family. And really the main core thread is Sam. And this is sort of where the game starts to lose me. So it's integrated in a really weird way. Essentially, you discover a lot about your parents and stuff via notes and little context clues and things. That maybe their marriage isn't going that great. The mom might be cheating on the dad with someone from work. Who knows? The dad is a sort of failed novelist. He's struggled a lot to get his books published. There's a little bit of turmoil going on there, which just sort of like resolves itself by the end when you realize that well, here's the thing. The twist is that there is no twist. There is nothing supernatural. There is nothing devious. There's nothing murderous going on in Gone Home. It's all just sort of a big misunderstanding. And I'm actually okay with that. You learn that the parents are gone they're actually going to a couples counseling trip that just so happened to take place on the week that you get back. That wasn't really planned, right? It was sort of up in the air when Katie was going to be back home. And as for Samantha, Samantha has had, I imagine Katie has to have been gone for like at least 6 months, because Samantha has been through an entire whirlwind lesbian romance at school. She's fallen in love with this girl who I think is like a year older than her. named Lonnie. They're in a band together. They have all this. They say I love you. They do all this stuff. They play Street Fighter 2 together, which I kind of popped off for. And it's really weird. Okay, here's when I say it's integrated strangely. So I imagine that the writer of this game, or the writers, I don't know exactly how many people worked on the script, wrote out this entire backstory for Sam and what she's been going through and all that. And the idea is that at the end of the game, you get to the attic and you find Sam's journal. It's her private diary where you learn all of these things. Except that's not when you learn all of these things. You actually get fed the diary entries piecemeal over the course of the game whenever you read certain key pieces of information. The whole game is just picking up things and looking at them and reading notes and stuff. Oh, by the way, this game has the first code you find is 0451. So Gone Home is actually an immersive sim. I don't know if you guys knew that, but you got to welcome it into the family. So you'll pick up a note and then an audio log will just kind of start playing. That is Sam narrating her diary entry. And it's really weird. And thinking about it really takes me out of the experience. Because it is completely non-diegetic. It has no relation. In a game that is so about immersing you in this one house and in these people's lives and getting you to really engage with what's been going on and having so many of the items. I mean, you can just pick up almost, not everything, but there's so many items that you can pick up and spin around and look at. They really want you to invest and entrench yourself into the setting and into Katie's shoes. Feel the tension she's feeling because she doesn't know what's going on with her family. You know, what's going on with the house. Feel the tension because she's never been here before. It's kind of creepy and puts you out of your element. And then, so for one, these diary entries totally clash with that because this is just this is information. There's a sense of okay, I'm going to be pretentious and come up with a term. I'm going to come up with a pretentious term here. I'm going to call it avatar dissonance. Which is when I feel a severe disconnect from, as a player, from what the avatar is actually feeling. Is there a more articulate way to say that? It's kind of like, I'm not going to say ludonarrative dissonance because I don't want to be that guy. And I think people misuse that term all the time anyway. There are so many choices made to put you into Katie's shoes. And then there is just this totally you're getting information from the future. And Katie's not getting that info. The player is. And that's really weird and dissonant to me. And it clashes severely with the tone that the game is setting up. That the game is leaning into at all other moments of gameplay. Because you will literally be like, aw, that's such a cute little romance. They said I love you. Holy shit, I'm in a scary-ass basement. Boom, ba-boom, the thunder cracks. It's just really, off-putting to me. And I'm left emotionally confused as to what the developers want me to feel as I'm playing the game. It just clashes constantly. And I think it's honestly a testament to the quality of the art and the sound designers that they were able to make the house so engrossing that the horror stuff still felt pretty effective. Up to the last moment, I was still wondering, the thing in the back of my head was is something crazy gonna happen? And no, it never does. But it's super weird, and there's a lot of dissonance because something that okay, here's the reason it's dissonant. There's this kind of dissonance between myself and the character that I'm playing. It's because it's not like when you're playing an RPG and there's a stat screen. And like, yeah, obviously the character in the RPG doesn't understand that they have 25 strength points. Like, they don't know that. The reason that's different is because you just kind of understand that for the purposes of gameplay, these things are kind of separate. Yeah, the character doesn't know that they have RPG stats. I do, but it's like a different thing. It's part of the suspension of disbelief that just comes with playing a video game that's trying to tell its story and communicate ideas through like gameplay systems. And they never have to acknowledge any of that stuff over the course of the actual game's script, any of the written, acted narrative. In Gone Home, the story is being experienced one way by the perspective character and a different way by me, the player. And that's really weird. That's it. Yeah. That's where the dissonance comes from. Because the story... Okay, I feel like I've explained myself well enough. I'm trying to, like, clarify this, because I've never really played a game that sort of, I don't know, like, messed up like this. I don't know why they chose to do it. Maybe they just shouldn't have, like, written the narrative like that. Because I guess the alternative would be that you get to the attic and then you just read a diary for 15 minutes and it's really boring. Because the twist is just that they ran away together. They just eloped. And, you know, nothing crazy happened. I've seen, like, some people, they didn't like the weird occultic stuff near the end of the game. I just figured that like, the whole deal that they did a seance to exorcise the ghost of their uncle, I kind of figured that was just, like, silly teenager stuff, and they kind of did it for them. Like, they were friends with the ghost or something, or they pretended that the ghost was real or something like that. And before they left, because they didn't have intentions of coming back, that they did this little seance to release his spirit. And it was never, like, a serious thing that they were, like, fucking cultists or devil worshippers or just doing stuff like that. Yeah. So that's how I feel. Like, I've basically summed up the whole experience. Some of the time I am feeling, like, pretty engaged by this scary atmosphere. And then I am sucked out of it to have a totally different emotional experience that's really, like, and none of it is ever allowed to linger, because the horror stuff has no climax. The horror stuff never comes to fulfillment. And it doesn't have a true anticlimax. The anticlimax is almost sprinkled throughout the horror stuff, bizarrely. It's like those dramatic foreshadowing videos where it's like a lady and she's setting up, like, she's going to do, like, the Mentos in the Coke challenge, and she's setting it up. And then as she's setting it up, just going, yeah, he's like, it's very typical and mundane while she's doing it. And then you'll get, like, 2 frames of just the soda exploding into her face and her going, and then it's back to, like, her setting it up. And then it just, as the video goes on longer, it just starts cutting in more rapidly. I find those very funny. But, like, the trick with those is the normal feeling setup is heightened by the crazy payoff. And in Gone Home, it's like, but you're getting, like, sprinkled in with, you're cutting in with the crazy payoff. In Gone Home, it's like the opposite, where the crazier thing would be if there was a fucking ghost in the house, or one of the family members went crazy and killed everyone else in a family annihilation, or there was some ridiculous, like, there was some, like, double like murder suicide or something that happened. Like that's the crazy thing that's stewing in your mind about like, oh my god, what's really going on? But then the game just goes, it is constantly saying to you, don't worry, it's nowhere near that interesting. And it just kind of like undermines itself the whole time. And I don't know why. It just ends up leaving the whole experience feeling very unsatisfying. And I don't have a problem with anticlimax, mind you. I don't have a problem with, oh, actually, it wasn't a big deal the whole time. That in itself, I think, can be a fun twist and a fun subversion depending on how it's done. I just think it's handled kind of poorly and without regard for how it actually affects the overall experience. I am also, trying to read discussions about Gone Home. I am flooded with people talking about the 90s nostalgia for some reason, because this game sort of, I guess there hasn't been like a big 90s nostalgia in gaming thing too much, I guess. At least not at the time, not to like recreate a house from the 90s type thing. Games from the 90s, sure. Genres from the 90s, sure. But that's kind of annoying to me. I can't like necessarily fault people, because that's part, if you're reviewing the game, that was a part of your experience, was that, you know, the house is very 90s, then I'm not going to fault you for that. But I was born in 2002, and that didn't really affect me at all. I only really popped off for Street Fighter because I like Street Fighter, and I thought it was fun that it got referenced in the game. And that like it's cute that Sam is writing down Chun-Li special move inputs so that she can try to beat Lonnie. Like, yeah, cute stuff. It's just one aspect. I can't hold this against the game. It's just one aspect of the conversation around the game that kind of annoys me, because I feel like it's just not that important to me. Yeah, it's could have been done a lot better. Cool stuff in it. Like a lot of the stuff that's sort of under the surface I find very intriguing. There's some storylines that are going on that you have to infer that I like a lot. I like exploring the house. It was really cool. It just kind of, it's all in service of a game that I feel sort of misses the mark, and sort of, and honestly kind of undermines its own emotional impact for me. And yeah, it pulls me in two opposite directions, and I'm left in the middle, feeling nothing, to restate the little line I came up with at the start of this.